Hello everyone, and welcome back to DMG. For a couple years now, I've used an Asus thin and light VivoBook 14-inch as my main laptop. Now, of course, I don't do everything on my laptop. I do basically everything on my workstation, which, of course, I can't carry around, so I do need a laptop for class. And it worked okay for that, but it was disappointingly underperforming in anything else. Its thermals were so poor that its Ryzen 5 3500U CPU clocked to about 2 gigahertz on all cores, and even lower in some applications, even when you just opened them. So video editing basically could not be done. Neither could any work in Cinema 4D. It had 8 gigs of RAM, but 2 gigs of that was used up by the integrated graphics, and I couldn't change that. So actually it only had 6 gigs of RAM, which definitely was not enough. Its battery life also wasn't very good. Like just web browsing, you would get a little under 2 hours, which was surprisingly low. So I sold my relatively new, thin, light, portable, small laptop, and I bought a pretty old, absolute beefcake of a mobile workstation. This thing weighs like 6 pounds. It's so hard to smoothly pull it out. Here it is. It's so wide. This is the Dell Precision M6700. It is the biggest, heaviest laptop I have ever seen. Just listen to that drop. Even just by the charger, you can tell that this is a serious laptop. This is 240 watts, and it weighs about as much as the Asus VivoBook did. Now this is technically a mobile workstation, not a laptop. As I said earlier, I think they would get sued if they called it a laptop, because if you put it on your lap for too long, you'll break your legs. However, it is definitely a lot more portable than just a Dell Precision. That is not a mobile workstation. But of course, Dell Precision is their workstation line of machines. So this is built pretty differently than like a consumer grade laptop. You get way better build quality, very easy to upgrade. Probably why it's still around after over 10 years. So let's just take a quick tour around the outside here. On the, this is the left side, yeah. We've got PCMCIA slot, a slot loading optical drive, which I've actually never seen on a PC laptop, an SD card slot, some indicator lights, separate mic and headphone, FireWire, and 2 USB. I think those are the 2.0 ports. On the back here, we've got the 2 massive vents, because this thing needs quite a lot to keep cool. eSATA plus USB, so you can just use regular USB, but that's also an eSATA port, which basically means you can use a SATA hard drive on the outside of your laptop, which is kind of cool. HDMI, VGA, Ethernet, a dent because I bought it used. Then here you've got a physical hardware switch to turn on airplane mode, which I always like. Here is your hard drive tray. Contrary to appearance, you can't just pop it out. That's a thing that you have to do, when disassembling it, but it does make getting the hard drive out once disassembled a lot easier. Okay, then you have 2 USB ports, those are fast, and then display port. Alright, let's open up this absolutely huge laptop. I'm going to show me, opening it up, like actually the inside, later. But it came with 2 256 gig SSDs. They probably shipped with the machine because their date of manufacture was 2012. You know what? Instead of angling the camera up, I'll just bend the display down. Also, sorry about the display being a bit flickery. It just looks like that on darker things on camera. I don't quite know why. So, what powerful hardware have you bought in this laptop for video editing in our grand year of 2023, almost 2024? Well, a 3rd Gen i7 and a Quadro K4000, along with 16 gigs of RAM, a 500 gig SSD, and a 1 terabyte hard drive. Let me explain really quickly. Before people put in the comments, oh, you just bought such an old laptop, it sucks, it's e-waste, blah. My other 10-year-old workstation, at this point almost 12, has served me very well, so explain why this shouldn't. Let's just get that task manager open. Yep, an i7 3840QM. It's got 8 threads, 4 cores. Here is our 16 gigs DDR3, our SSD, our hard drive, and our Quadro K4000M. If you're looking for a performance comparison of this card, it's close to a GT 1030 GDDR5 and the newer Ryzen and Intel integrated graphics. However, I got this laptop for only $250, so I actually made about $150 off of selling my laptop that performed worse. Also, this screen, I know it doesn't get picked up very well on my awful old camera, however, it looks very good. It's 17 inches. Yes, the bezels are chunky, but do I care? No, I actually like big bezels because that means things from the outside are less likely to, scratch the screen. Now, I will say its speakers were pretty disappointing. They were a little underwhelming. First time I fired them up, I was like, oh, that's actually kind of crap. From the Dell Inspirons that I've worked on from around this era, I was thinking they were going to be great, like the best speakers I've ever heard in a laptop, because this was $5,000 in, I think, 2012 when it came out. But no, they just sound pretty bad. They can get decently loud, but they're pretty tinny. You pretty much only get mid-range. Oh yeah, also it has this, the little track point thing. I forget what Dell calls it. Track point is what IBM calls it. This is their max volume, and it's not too impressive. Yeah, to be real honest, I was expecting a lot more from such a once expensive laptop. However, that's not a major complaint. It does have a backlit keyboard, which is fantastic. It has, I think, 3 lighting settings. Low, wait, no, that's not, there we go. Basically invisible, perhaps it's on, and, oh, now it's on. Oh, wait, no, it has 5. I can't count. So, 4, not including off. That was gonna be funny until I said the wrong thing. And I just realized the brightness is too low to see Task Manager. So, there we go. So there's the Quadro K4000M, there's our CPU, and yeah, that's it. Now, I'm going to upgrade the hard drive eventually from what I put in it. I put in a 1 terabyte Barracuda because it's what I had. I'm actually going to upgrade to 2 terabyte WD Blues in RAID because this laptop can do RAID on its hard drives. I'm going to replace the optical drive with a hard drive because I don't really need the optical drive in a laptop. Of course, even though its Quadro GPU is built for video editing and CAD and that sort of thing, that doesn't mean it's incapable of gaming. It is, in fact, quite capable of what we call a little gaming. Still getting used to the little track point thing. It's more convenient than a trackpad in a lot of situations, but it's also a lot less convenient if you're like me and aren't initiated into the track point users club, aka are kind of bad at it. Also, this screen is very, very bright. I'll turn it down a bit because it's too bright. Here we go. So of course BeamNG is a little laggy while we're still loading stuff in, but it runs very, very well. Now I do have dynamic reflections turned off because that will make it lag a little. But you know, just kind of driving around, it's a very good laptop. I am quite impressed with what this GPU can do. Now, it can take a Quadro K5000, which performs a lot like an HD 5870, but has 4 gigs of RAM, same as the Quadro K4000. So, I might do that eventually. Now, both of these graphics cards have very old drivers. Well, very old. They can't use DCH drivers, they have to use the standard Windows drivers. I have no clue what that means. All I know is that the last driver is from 2021, if I recall it correctly. It's like mid-2021. So, if you're thinking of buying one of these laptops and you need current driver support for applications, I would kind of be wary of that. Now also, listen to it. Exactly. Listen to what? You're not hearing the laptop right now. I can barely hear it, and I'm sitting right next to it. What you're hearing is the house air conditioning, which I cannot turn off because it does not, the switch to turn it off does not work. But yeah, you can't hear the laptop while it's in operation. It is absolutely, well, silent is not the right word, but compared to how loud a gaming laptop is, it is silent. You can barely hear it, and the GPU's consuming, you know, probably about 70 to 80 watts right now, which is, of course, quite a lot to keep cool. Now, as you will see when we tear it down later, the CPU and GPU have separate heat pipes, which is fantastic. A lot of even high-end gaming laptops don't do that. So the CPU and GPU don't heat each other up. They have their own heat pipes, their own fans, and each fan is independently controlled. So there have been times when the CPU has gotten a bit warm, but the GPU has not, and only the left fan has turned on, which of course reduces noise quite a bit. So it's a quiet little laptop. Well, not so little, I suppose. Oh yeah, it also has an Intel HD 4000, but that's not what we care about right now. Crossout does give me a warning that my GPU driver is outdated, which I don't know why. It doesn't give me that warning when I'm playing on a 15-year-old graphics card, and I have run it on 15-year-old graphics cards. But, you know, I don't know why it gives me that warning on a GPU that has a 2021 driver, but not a GPU with 2012 drivers. So, it's just a bit finicky there. But if your applications will run on this GPU, I definitely recommend picking up one of these laptops if you can get it for pretty cheap. Yeah, here's our GPU driver warning. So I can't move my finger on the trackpad and hold down WASD smoothly. And it also doesn't work with the little track point style nub. So playing on either of those peripherals only for playing a game is definitely not recommended. Now you can do it, but, you know, it's just not enjoyable or pleasant at all. Alright, here we go. Oh, gee. It's the first time I've heard this laptop from the back. From the back, it really sounds horrible, actually. I still can't hear the fans very loudly from where I'm sitting, but behind the laptop, it sounds like a swarm of very angry small bees. But of course, again, it's still quieter than most gaming laptops that I've heard. My friend's Alienware, as soon as he opens Firefox, the fans just do this. I'm going to plug it into the USB eSATA port on the back of the mouse. Also, I'm going to prop it up a little bit. I'm going to grab a textbook and just prop it up. There we go. Because the fans, the intake is on the bottom. So by propping it up, we're going to get a bit more airflow, and by getting a bit more airflow, we're going to get a bit more performance. These are the medium and high preset, a blend of the two settings. I'm using FSR best quality, which looks almost exactly the same as FSR off, but gives me about 8 more FPS. So, you know, I like it. Because, like, one of the big draws of this laptop is I'm not going to be using this at school. Like, I'm not going to be playing games on it at school, and I'm not going to be video editing at school, unless I'm in the video club again next year. But, you know, this wasn't mainly to use at school. It's to use when I'm home from school for a while, and I don't want to carry home my workstation, a monitor, a keyboard, and a mouse. All I have to bring home is a mouse, the charger, and this laptop. And then, boom, I'm set. I've got a decently powerful machine with enough storage to hold some clips so that I can edit some videos while I'm home and have nothing else to do. Now, the lags and stutters you're seeing are from ping, because the internet is horrible, not a fault of the laptop. We're probably going to lose this battle, but still, it's a good example of how well this laptop performs, and also how poorly I perform in any video game, because I'm very bad at games. Yeah, it was running in the 60s. So that's how cold this GPU runs. CPU was in the mid-50s, but it was not maxed out. Of course, gaming is not probably why you'd want to buy one of these laptops. You'd want to buy it for CAD, for rendering things, for drawing some serious lines. Of course, the viewport renders are not nearly as fast as they are on my GTX 980. However, I can actually move the camera at more than half a frame per second, unlike my old Ryzen laptop, because this is all GPU rendered, even though the final frame is CPU rendered. Which, to test the CPU render, really quickly, oh yeah, I don't have that texture loaded. I never have that texture loaded. But yeah, look at that. There are our 8 little cores, just having some fun. And let me see what all-core clock they have, actually, because I've never checked this before. 2.79 gigahertz, so that's quite good. Again, that's higher than my Asus laptop with its Ryzen 5, and it can complete renders at about 10% faster than the Asus laptop, which may not sound like a lot, but when you're sitting there waiting for a preview render to complete, so you know what the final is going to look like on that frame, that can be a difference of, you know, many seconds, can be a difference of minutes, although I usually wouldn't be rendering something this complex on this laptop. Point being, I would like to actually be able to work on my 3D models and animations without having to be at my workstation. Now, the final thing is DaVinci Resolve. I've been learning to use DaVinci Resolve recently because I used to use Movavi Video Editor 15 because I bought it years ago, but it'll no longer let me activate version 15. Apparently I have to buy the new video editor just to activate it, which is really bothersome. So since I can't use my, I'm not using the Intel GPU anyway, so that doesn't matter. But yeah, since I can't use my usual video editor, I've just been using DaVinci Resolve, and it has served me quite well. That's pretty much all I can demonstrate of the Precision M6700 today. I have another laptop that I was given that I'm going to be, kind of restoring soon. So if you're interested in laptops, take a look at that video. It really has been quite a while since I've covered a laptop on this channel. But that is it for this one. Thank you everyone for watching, and see you next time.